Anyway, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Brighton, the May edition. Welcome to everybody that's joining us online, live on YouTube as well, which will probably include my 7-year-old son, who literally watches these meetups religiously. I sometimes walk into the room and old Silicon Brighton meetups are playing on YouTube. He's obsessed by anything YouTube and R and meetup related. Just a couple of bits of housekeeping. You've probably seen these before. This event is being live streamed, as I've just said. If anybody wants to be removed from any of the live stream questions or as much of it as we can possibly do, come and have a chat with one of the organizers from Data Cove or Silicon Brighton, and we can make sure that happens. We have some wonderful speakers and some surprises this evening. And everybody that is speaking, I can assure you, because I'm one of them, we're all super lovely people. We're even more lovely if you save all of your questions to the end and don't heckle in the middle of the talks as well. So please save your questions. They'll be more than happy to answer them at the end of the talk. We also do have a code of conduct that's part of the Silicon Brighton Code of Conduct. Everybody that's in this room, naturally, by being here, you're saying, I do abide by that wonderful code of conduct that we've got. Visit the Silicon Brighton website for more details. We are quite social people. You'll see a link to our socials everywhere. In fact, you'll see these wonderful QR codes all over the place. These are all of Data Cove socials. They include platforms that I don't even reside on because I'm far too old and dinosaurish now to do that. If you are following us or taking pictures and putting them on social, please use the hashtag BrightonR. We'll give it some love. We'll share it. We want to see all of your wonderful pictures as well as all of our pictures as well. Your hosts for this evening, you probably know I think I know most people in the room. So we are Data Cove. I'm Jeremy. I'm the founder and director of Data Cove. You've got Sophie at the back, who's our marketing and events coordinator. There are other people from Data Cove as well who have got various reasons and excuses, like coding in Python, for not being here tonight. And to be honest, we don't invite Python coders to these events. We don't really want them to cramp our style. Anyway, we've got some wonderful talks coming up. We've got Uzair and we've got Andrew. Might be a few more fun bits coming up after that as well, but I shan't say too much now. A little bit about us. So we are a data and analytics consultancy based in Brighton. We cover 3 core areas. That is customer analytics, so it's helping to unearth your most valuable customers, marketing analytics to measure the effectiveness of your marketing investments, and process automation, which, as I always say to people, is taking the most painful process within your business and getting rid of it forever. That's quite powerful. And that process normally involves about 200 spreadsheets and 20 hours a week. So if you've got any of those in your business, come and have a chat with myself or Sophie at the end of the event this evening. Special thank you to our wonderful supporters for the event this evening. In particular, the venue that we are all sitting in right now. This is pretty much our home for Brighton R. We seem to have found our place here. We had our very first Brighton R event here about over 4 years ago now, and we love it here, and we are very thankful to the Eagle Labs. So I'd love to invite Andy up to tell you a bit more about what they do.
Thank you very much. So guys, just before we start, just to let you know, so if you need the toilet, through the door, down the stairs and round, there shouldn't be a fire drill today. If there is, if the alarm goes off, just follow me. I'll be over in the pub. All right, so just out, straight over and we're there. So welcome to Eagle Labs. So we are a business incubator. So we are here to help and support your business grow and scale. The way that we can do that is through many programs that we have on offer, okay? Whether it's mentoring or our funding readiness program, or just the connectivity that we can offer your business. You don't need to bank with Barclays to have the services of me, yeah? We will help any business within Brighton and Hove, yeah? Not only in Brighton and Hove, we've got 38 sites around the country. So we can connect you guys up with people up in Scotland, in Wales, wherever, yeah? If it is something that you're interested in and you want to know a little bit more, we've got a QR code on our sign, yeah? They are the things that we can offer. So events and workshops, dedicated business growth programs, access to our national network as well, yeah? Scan the QR code, get in contact. I will speak to you guys, yeah, and we can see where we can take your business forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andy. And actually a personal thank you from the team at Data Cove as well. So We do quite a few of these R Meetup groups across the country, and we've recently taken over the Portsmouth R user group. And thanks to Andy and Rohan here, we're going to be hosting it in the Portsmouth Eagle Labs. Very thanks for their introduction there. So really appreciate that one. We are also indebted to our wonderful supporters at Silicon Brighton, who, quite frankly, it wouldn't be possible to host this event without them. I think I was saying before, we might have been one of the first meetups that they partnered with, and it's so great to see that continuing over 4 years later. It's been over 4 years since we started Brighton R, and I would like to welcome Charlie to tell us a little bit more about Silicon Brighton.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. Yeah, my name's Charlie. For those of you I've not had the pleasure to meet just yet, I work in events and community engagement for Silicon Brighton, and we are the host of Brighton and Hove's tech sector. We support over 30 different meetup groups across the city, including Brighton R and Brighton Pie. And all of our events are free to join, available to people at all levels, and hybrid. So obviously you're all joining us here in the room tonight, but we're also running a live stream. Hello to everybody on YouTube. So you can watch the video, you can watch the live stream of the event if you're at home and you can't make it tonight, and then watch the event back after it's finished as well. None of the work that we do would be possible without the help of our fantastic supporters, all of whom you can see here. We owe them an endless debt of gratitude. And if you can't see a company that you're working for up there, maybe they might be interested in helping out and supporting us. To which end, we need you. We need your help in any way that you can. We're always looking for more speakers at events, or maybe you're interested in taking more of an active role in running a meetup group or volunteering and helping us run an event. Anything that you might be interested in doing to get more involved with our community and our events, we would absolutely love to hear from you. These are our values. I'll let you read through these whilst I'm speaking, but we like to uphold these in all of the events that we run and all of the work that we do. If you feel at any point that these aren't being upheld, please come and have a chat with either myself or my colleagues, Grace and Maureen, who are here tonight as well. You can also follow us on socials. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter/X, and TikTok, all at Silicon Brighton. You can see all the amazing work and all the content that we're posting there, including the events that we run, speaker blogs and highlights as well from the community. Now, everybody knows that May is the best time of the year to be in Brighton. And for the first time this year, we're very, very pleased to be partnering with Brighton Fringe. For those of you who don't know, the Fringe is an amazing creative festival in the city that hosts over 700 events throughout the city across the month of May. There's venues from people's front rooms to little comedy gigs in pubs and bars to big gigs at venues like the Collier. It's fantastic. There's all sorts of stuff going on. So please make sure to go and see some stuff. You'll really enjoy it. And if you scan the QR code here, I believe it will take you to the Fringe website. And if you use the discount code Silicon at the checkout, you'll get a discount on any tickets that you purchase. And yeah, as I said, it's a fantastic time to be in Brighton in May. And our Silicon Brighton events calendar is no different. We are absolutely packed with events. And next week, we have got Brighton Kotlin, the Brighton Data Forum, which will be here on the Wednesday. Brighton Blockchain is also on that night, if you're keen to do the double. And then on the Friday, it's Gabe and Dev drinks as well. If you scan the QR code here or go to siliconbrighton.com/events, you'll be able to see a full calendar of everything that we've got going on. If you also scan this QR code, if you've not done so already, you'll be able to join the Slack community that we've got, which is a fantastic space where you can see all the events that are going on, stay connected with people that you meet, and everything that they've got going on as well. And also you can join the Brighton R Meetup page at this QR code or at meetup.com/siliconbrighton, Brighton R. And that is everything from me. I'm going to hand back to Jeremy. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic night, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Charlie. None of this would be possible if it wasn't for Silicon Brighton, so we are always very thankful. you might have seen some flyers around the room. You might have heard us talk about it before. We are super excited that the Earl Conference, that is the Enterprise Applications of the R language, you've all got a flyer on your chair as well. We're not trying to subtly put this message in your brains at all. But Earl is coming back, but it's not going to be in London anymore. It's not going to be hosted by Mango and Cats and anything like that. It is hosted by the team at Data Cove with the support of Silicon Brighton. It will be held at the Grand Brighton in September with an evening event at the i360. We have some wonderful keynotes, which we shall come on to in a second. We've got some wonderful workshops for you. Tickets are on sale. There is a week left of early bird ticket prices if you want to get the tickets a little bit cheaper. You've all got leaflets on your desk, on your chairs. You've got a QR code there. They're all around the room. If you even want to buy an Earl ticket tonight, come and see me. I accept card. Believe it or not. I also accept cash, but I can't imagine anyone's bought that level of cash in with them. But come and see me, chat to me. I'm quite happy to sell you an Earl ticket this evening at our early bird rates, of course. A little bit more about Earl. Discounts are available. So if you work in academia, if you work in government, if you work for a charity, we can give you a discount code. Again, I can do all that tonight, or just drop us an email, come and see us. All the information you need is on the QR code. Indebted to our sponsors, so Ascent, Posit, and our consortium, big names in the R world who are going to be supporting the conference this year. Wonderful to have them on board. We got some fantastic speakers from those companies as well. In fact, we've got some great names as keynotes. We got this chap. If you're at this meetup, you might have heard of him. Apparently, he's done some cool things, something about tidy data, pliers, God knows what. We've got Crystal from the BBC. Crystal is a seasoned speaker at Earl. She's spoken at quite a few of the conferences I've been to. I mean, I've been to all of them, but I've seen her speak quite a few times. She's awesome. We just announced last week Steph Locke. We have been trying to get Steph to come and speak in Brighton for 4 years. We've also been trying to get Andy to speak in Brighton for 4 years. So it needed something as big as Earl to get both of them in the room. Steph's also running a workshop for us as well. She loves R that much. When I first spoke to her, she said, you know what? I've lost my love of R, but actually I'm going to get it back now. I'm going to write my 3rd R book. So hopefully, I'm not promising that, but that's what she said to me anyway. We've also got a few workshops in Python because we are bringing Python into the mix this year. So we've got Jamie and we've got Dan, who, if you're at the Brighton Pi event a few weeks ago, Dan gave a little taster of what's going to be a longer workshop at Earl, and it's going to be absolutely awesome. And we got Andre from Posit, who's going to do a shiny Python workshop, which I might even do myself as a shiny person, but not a Python person. So it is super exciting. We've got loads of people coming to it. I won't sit here and reel off logos and names, but you'll be in front of about 200 plus tech people if you're there. There will also be lots of senior decision makers in the room. So lots of wonderful people to talk to about the work that you're doing in R. If your company would like to sponsor Earl, do come and have a chat with us as well. I probably can't take card payment for that tonight. I haven't worked out how to do that, but come and have a chat. We'll definitely chat about Earl sponsorship and getting your logo included within these wonderful array of logos that we've got here. Right, you haven't come here to hear me talk, but it kind of happens all the time. You might hear me talk again. I am delighted to welcome our first speaker this evening. We've got Uzair joining us. Now, I would like to point out, Uzair's joining us from Pakistan, and it is now about 11:15 at night there. So this is somebody that is dedicated to the R cause. In fact, he is so dedicated, he set up Pakistan's first R user group. He's probably not going to talk to us too much about that tonight, because he's actually going to talk to us about something in R. And I would love to pass on to Uzair, who's going to talk to us about some market analysis that he has done in R.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Am I audible? Hello? Can you hear me, everyone? Am I audible from here? Okay. Hello? Can you hear me? Just wanted to know. Yeah. Am I audible? Okay. Am I audible? Is my voice audible here?
Yes. Yeah, we can hear you just great. Thank you, Uzair. All yours. Enjoy.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much, Jeremy, for inviting me for the talk, and also Brighton R for hosting this talk. and inviting me here. It was really good to see all the announcements that you were making there. So much happening at that part of the world. So yeah, good to see there. What I would do is I would present my screen and try to share it. Okay. Uh, as Jeremy has already made a little announcement about myself, that I would be first going through in the presentation, explaining about what motivated me to start Pakistan's first user group, and then I would walk through some of the Upwork market analysis that I have done in R. Let's start the talk. So, little bit introduction about myself. Uh, my name is Uzair Aslam, and I am the founder and data scientist at Stat Devs. It is a data analytics company here in Pakistan. Also, I am the first. I'm also the founder of Pakistan's first R user group. So, yeah, Karachi. So in Pakistan, we have number of cities, and Karachi is one of the cities in Pakistan. So here we are hosting Karachi R user groups, and it is also one of the most first R user group here in Pakistan. Previously, I have consulted at Cube Statistica in Canada as a junior data scientist, uh, and I have also worked as a data analyst for Indus Hospital and Health Networks again in Pakistan. So, little bit introduction about myself would help you out. That I have some background in consulting. I have done some projects in using R, and and also done some good work as data scientist as well. I did my bachelor's in economics and math in 2022, and that was also from Pakistan. Obviously, you can find me on LinkedIn. Uzair Data Scientist. This is what I'm found of, and also on GitHub as well. So M Uzair Aslam is my GitHub profile name, and I also occasionally write some Medium articles. So you can find me on Medium as well. So a little bit about myself, that how I got to know about R. This was my first work which I did in R. So it was a macro analysis and research which I did for one of the very first study in Pakistan health sector. So it was a public health data analysis work in which I used more than 5 data sets here, and also included a census data set in census 2017 data set. And over here, I had to use some tool for my statistical analysis work. uh, and then people told me to use Stata, people told me to use eViews, some Python as well. But someone told me that, why don't you use R? Because R has got some good libraries for data visualization. Maybe this work of yours can be better presented to stakeholders for the hospital which I was working for. So this was one of the motivations that I got to know about R back 3 to 4 years back, in 2020, and 2021. So, and then it motivated me once I did the study. The study got it got eyes on, because it was really comprehensive work which me and my colleagues did for a public health analysis for Pakistan, and got some of the stakeholders with us as well. So then it motivated me to start one of the our user group. So this is where I'm showing you that a bar chart where Pakistan, where Asia is hosting, as you can see, 10% of total number of our user groups. But and you can see more number of our user groups are held in US, Canada, and Europe, but very less number of our user groups are held in Asia. So again, this also motivated me that there should be some user group here in Pakistan as well. And also I also one of the motivation for starting this user group was this pyramid which I did in my study, again using the census data of 2017. So within a population of Pakistan that is a 207 million population, uh, I have always want to see that what this kind of people are doing over in this sector. So as you can see, a very large a very large distribution you can see on this end. So 15 to 35 and 35 to 50 years old. So 50% of the almost 50% of the population here in Pakistan are very young, and they can be used for some good purposes. And so this was one of the motivation as well, that if we can host and start an R user group here, we can teach people, we can start some good knowledge sharing work here. Finally, just for a bit of comparison, so UK's population, according to my source, was 66 million at that time, about 32% of Pakistan's total population in 2017. Uh, but there were 13 R user groups in UK in 2017. So again, these are all my research numbers. Maybe I am wrong over here, but this is what I did some research on this end. But there was no group in no R user group in Pakistan at that time. So this got me motivated that yes, this is the right time to start something which people should are not aware of. But let's start something rather than waiting for someone else to start on. Uh, so uh, when I started out, we became so one of the motivation was also to join the groups worldwide that are hosting the R community that is going on, and with 800,000 plus members, and we have 878 groups worldwide that are being run using the R consortium platform. So also a networking opportunity with industry professionals in R. So there was some researchers in Pakistan which I knew in Karachi. I knew particularly were doing some good work in R, and maybe the industry didn't had an idea about what R can do for them. So maybe I started this group so that the people would know, we could connect people from academia and industry to to see what R can do as a tool for as a data analysis tool. Also to learn more about recent developments in our ecosystem, how R has been developed. So we have had talks on R Shiny, and we have had talks on our data analysis, data visualizations. So there's a lot to talk about R once we start talking about it. And most importantly, one of the most important motivation was to give back to community in terms of knowledge sharing, because I believe that if knowledge is not shared, then it is not increased. So by sharing knowledge, we can increase our knowledge as well, and give back to the community as well. And also I also wanted to speak and become a speaker and in a data science community, and become a data science community builder here in Pakistan, because there are not very much you can say the tech communities are not very widely known, and people although people use a tech a lot, but the concept of community is not very strong here in Pakistan. So I wanted to start something so that we can build something regarding data science community. And obviously there were some challenges once we started our group. So there was a very low initial attendance. So my first meetup had only 4 to 5 attendees. I think that's very normal once you start something. So you have to start with the consistency. And majority of the attendees were also not local. So one of my co-founder was there, and there were two international participants. So although I was the speaker at that at this first meetup. So and it was an online talk. So and this was because I do not blame anyone. It was because there is a lack of awareness of R in data analysis and in visualization here in this part of the world. So this was one of the reasons that people were not able to recognize the importance. And again, compared to Python, no, R is not used much here in this part of the world. So again, introducing, I was introducing a new concept in a region with a very little prior exposure to R. Uh, and then I had also a challenge of building awareness and interest in data analysis and visualizations using R. But there were some positives. Once we started to start this group, so we saw that there was a gradual increase in interest and attendance for upcoming meetups. And currently, after running 6 months, we have now 300 plus members, and people are taking good participation. And so this shows a promising future growth in participation in this community. Also, now the turnout has increased to more than 10 to 15 attendees. So this is really promising stuff, and this really motivates me that as I started something, maybe we can scale it up into other parts of the country as well. So again, proud of moment for Pakistan that we are here in the center, 91st country to host the our user group. So this is a bit of introduction about how I started my journey with R, why I started using R, and then uh, once I started using R, then I wanted people to know more about it. So these were the reasons I started our user group. And next part of the talk would be about some of my work which I did using R. So as a consultant, we always look for new opportunities for new projects. And one of the well-known marketplace is Upwork. And Upwork Market Data is a very important marketplace for freelancers, for consultants to look for work. So just to give this a little bit of context, so in this talk from here, I would be analyzing some data sets and explaining how we can, what is a data-driven approach to get some good projects on Upwork Marketplace, particularly with respect to this region of the world, because the data set which I chose is scraped by a Pakistani nationalist. So, bit of background about Upwork. It is a leading global freelance platform. So, it is also one out of 800 freelancers on Upwork. They make more than $1,000 per month. So these are statistics, which makes Upwork a very evolving and very demanding platform. Uh, Also, web design was the most in-demand tech skill on Upwork in 2021, and over 50% of all freelancers on Upwork provide clients with skilled services. So by skilled services, I mean like data analysis, AI, machine learning, data sciences, and marketing. So all the skilled services, when more than 50% of the freelancers are giving this kind of skill sets. Uh, Also, some distribution of how the Upwork marketplace is laid down currently. Once we talk about skilled services, so web programming, that is around 43%. So people, 43% of the, you can say, the tasks that are coming in the skill domain are coming for the web programmers and web designers. And then we have social media marketing. So these are some of the on-demand skills on Upwork. So a little bit of background about Upwork, and then I would move towards the goal of this analysis. So as a consultant myself, I wanted to analyze the freelance activity and trends specific to Pakistan, uh, how the growth is happening in what are the high demand skills on this platform, and also yeah. So these were my data analysis goal. Uh, the data source which I chose was the Kaggle data set. This Kaggle data set is available on as an open source platform. Kaggle is an open source platform, and this was scraped by a Pakistani nationalist. So for 60,000 jobs posted. So not a very big data, as you can because with relative to the size of the market that is there. But this was something which I wanted to analyze and see that how what is the potential in the market, how we can maximize the potential as consultants ourselves. Uh, Starting out, there were some variables in the data set which I wanted to introduce. So there was this search keyword. The search keyword tells about the data that what are the searches the clients do for the work. So so there were 4 search keywords in the data set that was related to 3D, data science, developer, and marketing. So to retrieve the specific results, the scraper typed these words to get the specific results of the data. And we had categories, so from category 1 to category 9, and these columns specified the skill sets that the client wrote for a relevant job. What Upwork does is that it classifies its skill sets into 9 categories. So these were the 9 variables regarding those categories. And then we had the client country, the country from where the job was placed. We had payment type. Payment type was divided into two, you can say, two attributes. There was a fixed price, and then we have an hourly variable. So in the fixed price, the client would post a whole project at once, and in hourly price, we would get per hour rates of the client. And then we had job cost. So and this was only for the fixed price projects in USD, in US dollars. So the jobs which were posted for fixed price, they had a job cost attached to it. And for hourly jobs, for hourly projects, we had a start rate and end rate. So again, help me understand that what are the starting rates and the ending rates for the marketplace. So let's start this data analysis. So as we start a data analysis, we usually go on with loading some of the packages. Here I have loaded tidyverse, scales package, and I have loaded grammar of tables, a very famous package for presenting tables, and using plotly, and using janitor for doing some data cleaning work. I started to read the data using the read CSV function, and the goal of here package was to enable easy file referencing in project-oriented workflows. Although now we have RNs and for reproducible data analysis. So I used here package so that if someone else wanted to do this analysis on their own machine, then they can also reproduce it on their end as well. So again, a best practice that we should not use set WD function, which is fragile and dependent on the way we organize our files. Instead, we should always use here. So this is the best one of the practice that I follow once I start to mention about the specific directory. Before moving on, I started to select my columns for data analysis. So here I'm using a data selected variable, and I use the janitor package to clean my name to clean the data names, variable names, and then I selected the columns. So over here, as you can notice, that I am only using category 1. So in start, I explained that there were around 9 categories with the client posting. Once the client posts a job, it can be classified into 9 categories. But over here, I'm just taking one category, the top category that the client would need. So the first category he would post a job for. So so that my data analysis would become much smaller, and we can focus on quality of the analysis. And then the payment situation and the client country, payment type, job cost, start rate, and end rate. So these were the variables that I selected from the data set. Uh, the beauty of the janitor function clean names is that we can convert all our variable names to lowercase, and these are some good practices that we should follow, and put underscores in the gaps. So rather than me doing this work, we just pass it to the janitor package, and it does the thing for us. So view of the data set before we move on to the analysis part. So this is the first 6 rows of the data presented by the GT table, GT package. So as you can see that I have the search keyword over here, and the search keyword has data science. So there were 4 search keywords. As I mentioned before, there was 3D, there was data science, there was marketing, and there was one more there. 3D, data science, developer, and marketing. So these were the uh, uh, you can say 4 search keywords that the client would enter in the search bar. And then we have categories. So as I mentioned that I only selected the first category, so data analysis. So in data science, people are looking for Google Data Studio. The clients are looking for report writing, machine learning model, data analysis, generative adversarial networks. So and then we have a payment situation. That how so in payment situation, I didn't explain this variable. So whether the client payment is verified or not. So this is an important indicator, because once we start to verify the clients and see that the job is a scam or not, or whether the client really wants to do the work, or he's here for just to scam us. So this was the payment situation variable, and we have client countries, then payment types, the job cost, start and end dates. And the dimension of the data set was there. In start, we had 63,000 rows and eight columns. I started to do some data cleaning work, and in data cleaning, I started to remove some NAs to convert to factor variables, and also restricting my projects of the clients to a budget of 5,000. And this is because I wanted to narrow down my analysis to a smaller market share. You can say to smaller ticket sizes from like to $0 to $5,000, and also remove the hourly contracts where the rate was not given by the client. So after doing some data analysis, some data cleaning, and removing the null values, I had so the dimension of the data was 45,000 rows. So from 63,000 rows, we shrinked our data set to 45,000 rows. And in terms of percentages, the 70% of the data was there, and the 30% of the data was removed because due to some NA values. And I also restricted my filter to for a job that was giving us like less than $5,000. I did some exploratory data analysis to understand once the data was prepared, now it was ready to be explored and analyzed for the insights it can give us. So before I go into the code, let's see what was the distribution of the fixed cost projects. So as you can see over here, for the fixed cost projects, first of all, we do not see any fixed cost projects for a 3D market for the jobs of a 3D market. So it tells me that that all the clients that are posting 3D jobs are posting for hourly contracts, and they're not posting for the fixed cost projects. Secondly, as we can see over here, that the fixed cost projects for marketing, it has around $150 median mark, and the most highest it can go is Q3 third quartile is $500. Max I got around like $4,800. So the clients, as we can see, that all these three are very rightly skewed data set, and this can be expected from a marketplace like Upwork. And again, for developer jobs, we have a median. The client was able to pay like around $150, a very you can say a small type of job. And again, the median, the Q3 was around $500, and we have a data science projects. So for data science projects, the clients are paying around $100, and the Q3, you can say that the third quartile was in the $400. And the max the data science projects I got was in the data set was around $4,000. So this was a distribution of the fixed cost projects, which I got from the first analysis. So let's now come back to the code, just to explain a bit that I made a geom box plot, and I started to title my uh, using the labs, and then I place a theme variable, and then I flipped this uh, this graph to present it in form of a in form of a distribution of a box plot. So this was my first insight about the marketplace, about the fixed cost projects. Then I moved on to the hourly contracts, and I wanted to see that what is the difference between a fixed price and hourly jobs. So if I'm bidding on a job, then how which which type of job should I bid for? Should I go for the fixed price job, or should I go for an hourly job? So again, I would take you to the results first, and then we would go to the code. This table simplifies this my analysis. So over here, as you can see, the four keywords that the clients are asking for the jobs, and the fixed price jobs, we already saw it in form of the distribution. And in fixed price jobs, for a sample size, so again, the developers are making a hell lot of money, as you can see over here, around $5.1 million. That was the jobs the clients posted on that job was around $5.1 million for a sample size of 11,000 developers, 11,000 developer jobs. And for marketing, that was around 2.4 million, half the number of sample size, and we can expect that half the number of jobs, the earnings would be there. And for data science, the fixed number of projects were very less in this data set. We can say that the sample is not statistically representing the whole the marketplace, but that's what we have got, like around 500,000 earnings in fixed price projects. But once we analyze the hourly contracts, so in hourly contracts, we have around the rates are starting from $3 to $35 for developers, with again a very big sample size. And also the earnings, you can see that they are making, the developers are making a lot of money in $227,000. But the most of the value that is coming for developers are coming from the fixed term projects, and not from the hourly contracts. For marketing jobs, the starting and end rates were between $5 to $30. But the good thing was that in data science, the projects which I usually look for, so that was around $8 to $40. So this is the place that I now have an idea that I should be bidding my projects for, because now I have a good idea about the sample size, and as well as the earnings of those projects. So as explained earlier, that the 3D jobs were not offered for the fixed time projects, that were only offered for the hourly projects. Uh, some insights for the freelancers, that the development projects on average gets $150, as I mentioned earlier, and the data science projects are getting about around $100 for fixed time projects. So as a data professional, I should focus more on the on hourly contracts, and seek opportunities, maybe also seek opportunity outside of Upwork. So this was my insights for the freelancers, or you can say consultants. And also I had a note that the data set exhibits the sample bias, because I believe that as we saw that the jobs for the data science was not representative of the population. And we have also location bias. So by location bias, I mean that the scraper who scraped this data set was based here in Pakistan. So there's an algorithm in Upwork which shows the jobs location with respect to the location where the person is sitting. So I had to see. So maybe if you get some data set on your own, you may get some other location, other jobs, or some other. So there's a location bias in this data set which I analyzed. So now moving on, that what are the clients' top developer categories? Again, I did some data analysis. I would move on with the insight, and then come back to the code. So where the developers should focus on as a developer? What are the skill sets that the developers should have? So as we see over here, that the web development, around 30% or the 31% of the jobs that are coming on the Upwork freelance market is regarding the web development, and 4.5% of the jobs are regarding mobile app development. And so as we go on, so Python comes over around 2%, and we have Shopify, we have React, and we have PHP. So all kind of jobs are there, but the web development jobs are taking the market with the lead. And again, I analyzed with the category 1. So again, there were 8 categories which the client posted, but I restricted my analysis to the only the first category. So I would move quickly to the code. What I did over here, I filtered first my data, and then I grouped it with the search category. I summarized using the summarize function. Added some variables because I wanted to calculate the percentages, and restricted to only the top 10 categories. And then I made the ggplot using the ggplot library. I created this nice graph. So this is about the developer categories. So I would move on to the next for marketing categories. So if you are a marketer, where should you look for jobs? What are the skills you should be looking for? So for marketing, again, we have a social media marketing that is a very hot uh, trending job currently in the market, with a 20.5% of the jobs that are coming in the marketing domain are regarding the social media marketing. In social media marketing, we can say Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So all of these are posting and campaign running. So these kind of jobs that are very much leading the market. Then we have marketing strategy. Around 7% of the jobs that were coming in the market was related to marketing strategy. And then we have email marketing, market research, lead generation, influencer marketing, and sales and marketing, and Google Ads. So again, there were a number of categories over here, but I just restricted to top 10. So if you are a marketer, you should focus on social media marketing as your go-to skill. Again, so this was data science categories where I was most interested to look at. So in data science, we have a tough competition, we can say, because uh, we have a tough competition in terms of like in data analysis and data scraping. So most of the jobs that the client was posting on Pakistan's part of the world, or you can say on this part of the world, was related to data scraping. And again, we can understand that data scraping is one of the most important skill sets, because it is gathering of the data using the automated scripts. So using Python, using R, we can do a lot of scraping work. So we had 11, you can say around 12% of the jobs that were coming on the platform was regarding to data scraping. Then we have a data analysis job. So around all the data science jobs that are coming in the market, 11% of the jobs are related to data analysis. And then we have data science category. Then we have Python in data science. And then we have data visualization. So again, the jobs that are related to data visualizations and data analysis and data science are coming very close to data scraping jobs in the market. So we have all these skill sets you can see over here are very much hot in demand, very much in demand in the marketplace right now as well. Data extraction and data mining, machine learning, and Google Analytics. So these are some of the top clients categories that the clients are looking for in the market right now. So which region, once I had some data analysis for the skill sets, and now I have a very clear idea that where I should be focusing on my effort. In the next part, I wanted to analyze that which region is paying the most. So I wanted to see that if I filtered, if I can, as a consultant, I can filter out some of the regions of the world, then I can focus more on getting more jobs, or you can say high end jobs, high paying jobs. So United States, I saw, according to my analysis, was paying the highest average starting rates. So this is again starting rates. So United States was paying the highest rates of $65, and Zambia, South African country, this was paying around $50, and we have other countries as well. Leading country Angola, Laos, United States, minor outlying islands. So this gave me an idea about that I should be focusing on more of the jobs in United States, so that they are paying me highest starting rates. So just coming back to the code to see how did I made this table, a very a basic table. I did a group by on the client countries, and then we did a summarize function. And again, I am taking the medians. So because is a good practice as a statistician that we should be using medians once we have a very rightly skewed data, because median system it takes the middle value. So I was in my all analysis that I showed over here, I took the medians, and then I arranged it by top categories, and then labeling it my variables. So this is about the little analysis which I did, and you can find the data sources and the slide link. This data source for the Upwork statistics, that was from Kaggle. You can find the slides from my GitHub repo, which I would be sharing in the chat, or I would be also you can find me you can find it on my GitHub repo. I have pushed the presentation over there as well. Yeah. Uh, After doing this slides and the demo, I wanted to give like a quick shout out to my company before you ask some questions from my side. So yeah, we are Stat Devs, and we offer top quality data analysis, ETL, uh, ETL solutions, and R Shiny dashboards. And we are a technical group of R and Python developers, delivering some good projects in market analytics, retail analysis, and ESG framework, in ESG domain. And yes, always open for new collaborations, and I'm always ready to assist like small and medium-sized consulting organizations in UK. I have worked with some of the organizations in UK as well. So yeah, thank you for this. I hope you enjoyed this talk. I'm open for question answers now. Yes.
Got the mic on? Yes, thank you very much, Uzair. There were some staggering stats in that talk as well that I was just blown away by. We are very, very strapped on time, so we can have one question. So has anybody got a question? It's got to be a killer question if you got one. Anybody? Oscar's got a question.
Hello, Uzair. I just wanted to thank you for the talk. As somebody who's rusty in R, it's really good to see the code as you were running it along. My question is, you were talking about freelance jobs, and I was just wondering, well, I wanted to congratulate you on your rise to 300 members in 6 months for your meetup, and also ask you if you're seeing among your membership people who are coming into R and into data analysis, and if so, how you would evaluate the market for such talent in Karachi or in Pakistan widely for companies hiring full-time employees?
So let me think through this. Okay, so the requirements of the for the data analysis jobs, and particularly for full-time hiring in this 2024 has been not very much in high demand. But if you take last year, or you can say in 2022, in 2023, more companies were hiring for data analyst and data science full-time roles. But still, we have some companies that are hiring for like full-time roles as well. The trend is on rise. Obviously, we have a lot of talent here in this part of the world, in Karachi, in Pakistan. This is also comes from the industry point of view as well, that the jobs that are coming in the industry that are coming at a very low pace. So yes, I hope that I answered your question.
Excellent. Once more, I think we need to give a massive round of applause for Uzair. Thank you very much. Great. Well, normally at this point we would have a little break, but I know that our next speaker has got a train to catch. He's come quite a long way this evening, which I'm sure we'll find out a little bit more about in a second. So we are going to crack on. If anybody does want to come and grab another drink quickly, if anyone needs to run to the bathrooms, please do that while we change tech. But we're not having an official break this evening. Great. While everybody is making sure that all of their drinks are taken out of the fridge, which is a very important thing to do, Let me also change. Got to get priority number 1 sorted. Slides. There we go. No, it's fine. Yeah. Cool. Right. So I'll let Lincoln and Andrew compare geography for another few seconds. Whilst everyone is sorting out their next drink, and I probably should do the same in a second, I'd like to introduce our second speaker this evening. The rest of the evening, we're going to kind of focus a bit more on the Silicon Brighton Fringe collaboration, do things a little bit more creative. So we're going to talk about some images now and Docker, and maybe a few things afterwards. So I am really pleased to announce Andrew as our next speaker. He's going to talk to us about Desert Island Docker, whatever that might be. There are very few people in the R world that can turn up to an event and out t-shirt me. But I feel that Andrew, by having a Sat Our Days Cape Town t-shirt this evening, first one I've ever seen, has done it. So I am super thrilled to welcome Andrew, who is also a speaker at Earl this year, which is even more exciting. Not talking about this, but talking about something else. So I will leave the room to Andrew.
What 3 Docker images would you want with you, if you were shipwrecked on a desert island? Now, you might object to this question for a number of reasons, and I can think of at least 2 of them. The first one would be, if I'm on a desert island, why would I need Docker images? And the second one would be, well, most castaways don't have the benefit of foresight, knowing that they're going to be shipwrecked. So preparing those Docker images might be a bit tricky. To those objections, I would contend, 1, as an R developer, having some strategically chosen Docker images is going to make you a lot more productive while you're marooned on the island. Power and those things accepted, of course. And secondly, as an R developer, you should always be prepared. These are the images that I'm going to be talking about, and I feel that I should probably introduce myself again. I'm Andrew Collier. As you may gather from my accent, I'm from South Africa. Hazard. I am a data scientist for a company called Fathom Data. It's based in Durban, and it's been running for about 8 years. It's nice to work remotely from England. And I should start off with a bit of a caveat, and that is to say that there's no advanced Docker content in this talk. It's very much a high-level overview of what one should know if one's getting started using Docker as a Python developer, an R developer, at least. So I suppose that potentially there's some people here who haven't worked with Docker before. So let's start with a little introduction as to what Docker actually is. And one might glibly say, oh, well, Docker is like a virtual machine. But that would only be telling really a small part of the story. There's a lot more to it than that. But it essentially does the same kind of thing. It enables you to run other processes, potentially from another operating system, on your computer. So for example, if you're on a Windows machine, it'll enable you to run Linux processes locally on your machine. And maybe this is all easier to appreciate by means of a diagram. So this is the way that I like to think about this. And over on the left-hand side here, we've got sort of the conventional setup that you might have on your laptop or desktop machine, where you've got the physical infrastructure. You've got a operating system sitting on top of that, and then a bunch of applications that run. And then over on the other extreme, you've got the virtual machines. So you've got generally a server, and you now host a number of 1 or more virtual machines on that server, and that enables you then to run other processes. So for example, on my Linux laptop, I have a virtual box, and in that I have a Mac clients, and I also have a Windows client. This because sometimes I need to use those operating systems. Now, the downside to the virtual machine approach is that you get a lot of other stuff baked into that virtual machine that you don't really need. So for example, why would I need to have Solitaire in my Windows, in my virtual machine, right? Waste of space and resources. So Docker sits between those 2 extremes. the setup of Docker is distinctly different to both of them, but compared to a virtual machine, Docker is very lightweight in the sense that creating new processes is very quick and also very lightweight. So the footprint of the individual processes or containers is very small relative to that of a virtual machine. So let's press on to the first image that I would want with me on my desert island, and that is plain old R. Now, before we look at the R image itself, it's maybe worthwhile clearing up a little bit of terminology that you encounter as soon as you start reading about Docker. And this was a source of confusion for me when I started playing with Docker. And that is, you read image and container, and sometimes these two are kind of used interchangeably, and it can all be a little bit perplexing. The way I think about this is that an image is basically a template or a cookie cutter, as illustrated here, and that what that is used for is to create cookies or containers, and those are the instances of that image. So, for example, you might have a Python image, and you might use that to create one or more Python processes. Similarly, an R image, one or more R processes or R containers. So we have an image, and that image is used to create containers. Where then do the images come from? And the images are generally downloaded from a registry. And the most sort of pervasive registry for Docker images is known as Docker Hub. And so this is an extract of the web page for one of the Docker images for R. It's called Rocker/Tidyverse. Now, two parts to the name. The Rocker component is actually referring to the organization that created the image. So once you start creating Docker images, will create an account on Docker Hub, and you will also have your own personal organization or person all your images will be allocated to. And then the second part is the actual name of the specific image. So in this case, this is the Tidyverse image. And we'll be seeing a number of other images momentarily. This also gives you some nice stats about the images themselves. And you can see that this one, Tidyverse, is pretty popular. It's been downloaded 10 million times in total, and typically is downloaded around 200,000 times every week. So it's used a lot. So these are some of the other images that are hosted by the Rocker organization. And I'm going to be showing you the R-ver one, which is really the lowest level, most lightweight R image. But there are a bunch of other ones that are really handy. The second one there, the RStudio one, is fantastic. You spin up an instance of that image, and you've got an RStudio client in your browser, which is really very, very handy. Other ones worth mentioning are the Shiny one, which we're going to be taking a look at this evening as well. So there's the mechanics of working with Docker really boil down to two things. So you pull the image, which is basically going and extracting the image from a Docker Hub. So pulling it down onto your local machine. And once you've got a local copy, you then run it, thereby creating a container, and then you can interact with that container. So supposing that you wanted to use an R image, you'd run a session that starts off with Docker pull, right? Everything starts with Docker, and then normally a verb, so pull, run, etc. And then the name of the image. So in this case, Rocker, the organization, /R-ver. And as you can see, it then chugs away and does some things. And you may wonder, well, what are all these sort of hash codes there? Well, the image is composed of a series of layers, and each of those layers is pulled down from Docker Hub individually and then kind of assembled to create the overall image itself. And once that process completes, you now have a copy of the image locally on your machine, which means you can now spin up a container. And you do that by running Docker run. So Docker, the verb run, and then the name of the image. And you can see, well, we get something that looks quite familiar. It's R 4.4 starting up, and we have the R prompt, and then I'm immediately back in a shell prompt again. So I didn't actually get the opportunity to interact with R, which is a little bit anticlimactic, and again, kind of puzzling. There's a very good reason for that, and that is that each of the containers that you create from a Docker image is actually a self-contained sealed environment. And it's done like that intentionally because that's sort of the most robust way to construct this kind of setup. But if you're wanting to interact with that process, of course, this is not ideal. So there are some flags that enable you to make the session interactive. So you can inject -IT into the command. So docker run -IT. And that -IT, -I is for interactive, and the T is for terminal. And when you do that, you see that you then end up in an interactive R session. So that's an important thing to know. Otherwise, it can be a little bit frustrating. Spinning up this container, but I can't talk to it. Okay, now, you may have noticed that as opposed to the previous commands, there's now this :latest at the end there, and it may be worthwhile asking, well, what's that all about? So that latest is a tag, and each of these images normally has one or more tags associated with it. And this, to me, is one of the greatest powers of Docker. And that is that you have a variety of different versions of every image. And this allows you to essentially go back in time and run sort of really ancient versions of R that would be very difficult to actually install and get up and running, but you can just pull the doc image and run them with very little effort at all. So here's an example. So once again, back on Docker Hub, this is for the tidyverse image, and you can see that there's a 4.4 version, 4.3, 4.3.1, etc. There's a very large list of all these various different images. And if you are sort of ambivalent about what version you're wanting, probably means you're wanting to have the latest ones. You can either have :latest, or you can just omit the tag altogether, in which case you will get the latest version. But in some situations, we want to be quite specific about the version that you're actually running. So you want to use the right tag. Why would you be specific about that? Well, let's see. Here I'm creating a data frame. And my first column, populating it with 2 strings. My expectation in the back of my mind is, well, data frame is going to turn that vector into a factor, because that's what data frame used to do up until R version 4, right? But now when I go and take a look at that column, df name, I get null. There are no levels to it because it's not a factor, it's just a string column. But I want my code to work and I want it to do the right thing, not a problem. If I want to get this to work, I need to run it through an earlier version of R. Well, I can do that quite easily by simply running R version 3. In this case, I've chosen 3.1.2, but any other version of R in the 3 series would work just as well. And now you can see that, as I expected, that first column has become a factor and my code will work. Now, for just a single line of code like that, this is probably insignificant. You just change the code and update things accordingly. But if you've got an extensive code base that assumes an older version of R, you have 2 options. The one is to port that entire code base to a contemporary version. Probably takes you quite a lot of time. Or alternatively, you just use the right Docker image that will allow you to run that code immediately. Personally, being lazy, I'd go with the second approach. Okay, so on to our second Docker image. In this case, Shiny. Now, I know that Jeremy mentioned Shiny earlier. I'm sure that there are a bunch of other people here who use Shiny. It's a terrific tool. And having Docker actually just takes your ability to create Docker images, or to create Shiny apps and deploy them that much more easy. I mean, one of the challenges that I always find is it's very nice and easy to create a Shiny application locally on my laptop, but then the challenge comes in when I need to take that and deploy it on a server, and then you have a whole lot of other things to think about, like, you know, where exactly does it go? I've got to install the Shiny server, I've got to have Nginx in front of that, and it's kind of mind-boggling. But if you take the Docker approach, then you can wrap up your entire application with all the infrastructure that it requires in a Docker image, and then you just deploy that image. Super easy. Okay, so there's the Shiny image. So once again, the Rocker organization produced this image. It's not quite as popular as the tidyverse, but it's still used pretty frequently. And we can spin that up. right? You'll notice here that I didn't pull it first, and that's an important thing to know as well. If you don't have a local copy of an image and you do docker run image name, Docker is smart enough to know that, oh, I don't have a local copy, I need to go and pull that immediately, in which case it does automatically and then immediately runs it. And you can see at the bottom here, it says starting listener on, giving me the conventional port number 3838. So my expectation here is that I can just pop over to my browser, open up localhost, specify the port, and I should be able to take a look at the Shiny server. Unfortunately not. That's not quite the way things work out, right? And once again, there's a very good reason for this, and it goes back to the problem that I had with interacting with R in the terminal, that these containers are self-contained, nothing goes in, nothing comes out. So they're a sealed environment, but we can punch holes in the container that allow information to get in and get out, which is well, it depends on the purpose of your image or your container. If it's something that you never have to interact with, then this is probably not all that important. But if it's something that requires interactivity or the ability to take a file from your local machine and make it available to the container, then this is super important. So there are two principal flags for doing this. The first is -v, and this is a volume mount. It allows you to take a file or folder on your local machine and make it available on the container. And the second is -p, and what that does is it maps a port on a container to a port on your hosts. So in the case of Shiny, within the container, the Shiny server is accepting requests on port 3838. But unless we punch a hole in the container, we can never actually access that port. So by using the -p flag, we map that port on our local host onto the corresponding port on the container. And incidentally, you're not constrained to use the same port number. So for example, you can map port 80 on your local machine to the Shiny port on the container. That's perfectly fine. Okay, so we know that it's inaccessible when we run it without flags, so let's try introducing a couple of extra flags. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use the -v flag, and it looks like there's an awful lot going on in that highlighted line, but it's not really all that much, actually. So the key bit is that it's everything up to the colon, and then everything after the colon. Everything before the colon references a folder on your local machine. So in this case, I'm picking out the Shiny Faithful subfolder underneath my current working directory. And that's getting mapped onto the container at that specific directory, which is where you want your Shiny app to reside. So the Shiny server picks it up. Okay, so that enables me to take some local app on my machine and share it with this otherwise pristine Shiny server. And then the second part of the puzzle is then mapping ports. And so here I'm mapping port 3838 on my local host, the corresponding port on the container, right? And with this second command in place, I have my custom Shiny app available on the server. And secondly, I'm also able to access it via that port. And indeed, if I go to that port on my local host, there we have like the standard demo Shiny app, which is great as a proof of concept, but also kind of a little bit dull. So let's see if we can make this just a little bit more interesting and useful. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that images typically come from a registry like Docker Hub, but that's not the only source of images. Generally, what you're going to do with Docker is roll your own image. So you're going to probably use a base image that's downloaded from a registry, and then you've got to tack on your own stuff to make it more useful. So the way that this is done is you write a simple text file, right? A Docker file. And that Docker file is then compiled, or you run Docker build. Docker build will create an image. And once you have that image of your custom image, you can then create your custom containers. So this is what a really simple Docker file looks like. It's just a plain text file, and it's typically called Docker file with a capital D And the first line specifies the base image. So we're using the rocker shiny image, and we're then going to be deriving a new custom image from that. The second line, well, this is just running an R process. So it's going to install the leaflet package. My app is going to use leaflet. And then the third step here is copying app.r, which is my local app on my local machine, across onto my image. And it's going to go into the same folder that Shiny server is going to pick up. Now, two-step process to make this actually work. Firstly, I have to build it. So Docker, build is the verb in this case. I give it a tag. So somewhat confusingly, the -t here for tag refers to the actual image name rather than the colon tag that we saw earlier. So we're calling the image shiny leaflet. And the dot at the end, that's basically telling Docker where to look for the files that are going to be copied across onto the image itself. That runs typically pretty quickly, and then we're going to actually run that image, create a container, and once again, we're going to map the ports. Now, you may be wondering, when we did this previously, we mapped ports and we did a volume mount as well. Now, the volume mount was actually to share the app itself with that generic Shiny server image. In this case, we've actually baked the app itself directly into the image. So there's no need to actually share it with the image. It's already there. And when we fire that up, once you've run it, we see that we now have a very nice custom Shiny app. This, incidentally, is about the extent of my Shiny development. It's definitely not my forte. Okay, so proceeding then to the final doc image that I consider to be essential, Jupyter. Now, I think there's a bit of a schism in the R community here. I mean, it's a three-way schism, actually. There are the people who use RStudio exclusively, and then the VS Code people, and then the Jupyter people. And then maybe there's some others who use other obscure platforms. I quite like Jupyter for data purposes, because being able to have your code divided up into cells and be able to run those cells individually rather than sort of a script is quite handy. So not surprisingly, there is an image for this, but as opposed to the previous two images that we've looked at, this one's not actually developed by the Rocker organization. This is actually hosted by the Jupyter organization. It's called R Notebook. Jupyter actually has a bunch of these images with a variety of different levels of complexity and sophistication. So the R Notebook one has Python baked into it as well, and R. And so what you can do if you want to run this R Notebook, Docker run, we're going to map some ports. The ports are different in this case, so it's 8888 rather than the one for Shiny. We're going to map a volume because we want our files on our local machine to be available to Jupyter when we got it up and running. And then finally, the name of the image itself. And once we've run this, we can go to our browser, go to the right port, and there access to Jupyter. And as you can see, there's R. Click on that R button and you're immediately put into an R Notebook. But this is cool. This is undoubtedly cool, but I'd like to do something a little bit more. Let's raise the ante just a little bit. And what I'm going to do is install R Java on this image. Now, if you've ever tried to install R Java, you might know that this can be quite a challenging experience, right? It could take you quite some time and you could get hurt in the process. So this is what my Docker file looks like. And this is going to enable me to start off with my R Notebook and add in a bunch of things that are going to get me R Java. And then finally, ultimately, what I'm wanting to have is this MailR package, just because MailR depends on R Java. So to put this all together, firstly, I have my base image. I changed to the root user because I'm going to be installing some operating system level packages, which you can't do with the default user on this on the R Notebook image. This is installing some, well, it's the Java JDK. We need that for anything that involves Java. Setting up some environment variables just so that R can actually find Java. And then running this Java reconf, which essentially tells the R process to look around on the system and locate where Java is, so that when it's called for, it knows where to find the process. And then finally installing a couple of R packages, R Java and MailR. And then finally copying across a Python notebook, which is very, very simple, and you'll see it momentarily. So once this is being built, so Docker build, you can then do Docker run and fire it up. And you end up then in a R notebook with the Python notebook, or sorry, with R notebook that I copied across. And you can see that I have two cells there. The first one loads up the MailR package, and the second one goes off and sends an email just to prove that this all works, using a very handy service called SMTP bucket to just validate that this email is indeed sent without harassing anyone. And if I go across to SMTP bucket, I can see that I sent it to sender at Gmail, and I sent it from sender at Gmail to recipient at Gmail, and on SMTP bucket, it validates that message was indeed sent. Okay, so you can do a whole bunch of other things with this image, but I just thought that was a nice demonstration of a process which in principle can be particularly painful if you're doing it outside of a Docker image. Incidentally, if you are in the habit of sending emails from R, MailR is very nice, but it does have that great big R Java dependency. Emaili is a package that we at Fathom have developed for sending email. It's fully sort of tidyverse compliant. We think it's rather nice, maybe worthwhile taking a look at. And with that, just wrap up, pointing out these are the 3 images that I think that you should ensure are fully installed in your laptop before you get onto your next ocean cruise. Thank you.
Brilliant. That was wonderful. Great talk. Have you got time for one question? Excellent. Lincoln's got a question.
Hi, thanks for the talk. I just want to put in a vote for another image, the Rocker R2U image, which is great because it has pre-compiled binaries for CRAN packages. So if you're installing a lot of stuff that needs to be built, it goes a lot quicker than, you get a massive speed up. And I use Docker mainly for testing, testing R packages during development, and sometimes for building stuff on CI/CD. And so I was wondering, what is your main use case for Docker? And when you use Docker, do you start from one of the Rocker images, or do you go right from bare bones?
It's very application dependent. Most often we're building images which are going to be used once again in CI/CD pipelines. And there we're thinking about 2 things. Is how quickly can we pull this image down, because very often these pipelines are run pretty frequently. And there, if it's something that's going to be run all the time, we're going to start with a bare bones image, and then Alpine, for example, and then just install precisely what it is that we need. That's going to be for an image that's going to be frequently used. If it's something that I'm building this image, I'm going to use it a couple of times, and then it's going to get canned, then I'll start with something that's bulkier, but it's less onerous to install stuff on. Yeah, sure. Jeremy.
Any more questions? Anything online? Excellent. Well, Andrew can go and do a run for the train now, I think, is what you said you were going to do.
Thank you very much for hosting me and also for accommodating my time constraints. I really appreciate it.
No. Well, thanks again, Andrew. That was a fantastic talk. I'm just going to do a very quick mic change, apparently.
So this goes in your pocket. It doesn't have your phone in it. That goes there. It works.
My PC's running low on battery as well. Charlie did ask me for a charger at the start. I said, I'll get a charger. You can definitely hear it, can't you? Because I'm walking. There we go, it works. Right, so my PC's about to shut down. We're going to lose everything. There's one there. Do we need to secure that bit?
Could you say that? And let me do this.
What's Andrew done?
There you go.
Yeah, how do I? There we go. Right. Okay, so we are nearly done with the program of events for this evening. I've had to put this mic on because I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm going to do some live coding. Believe it, I'm not really going to, it's all developed. But when Silicon Brighton said we're doing a collaboration with Fringe and what can we do that's a little bit more creative this evening? So I thought that I would talk about the fun side of R. Now, the fun side of R is not me wearing an R t-shirt, standing in front of a bus or whatever other picture you've seen in the past. But how many people here have dabbled with the fun package in R before? Hands for the fun package. Oh, 1, 2, 2. Okay, well, it's good. I'm going to take you back with a little bit of fun in R. So we're going to try and see if we can get this to work. I didn't want to do live coding, so should we zoom that in a little bit? Somebody at the back, tell me when you can see what's going on. Is that enough? Have we zoomed it enough? You see at the back? Cool. Right, so we're going to load the fun library. Let's hope all of this works. Now, we're just going to see what's going on with this library. I'm not going to show you the whole library. I'm just going to do it for a few minutes. We need to just be able to open up a window to be able to engage with the library, so we'll open that up as well. This is based on one of my favorite films, Saw. I Want to Play a Game. It's not like that, don't worry. We're not going to play that kind of game right now. But who remembers good old-fashioned Minesweeper? There we go. Oh, it looks a little bit like, there we go, there's a bit of Minesweeper. Looks a bit like that. You can play Minesweep R, obviously. So let's have a go, shall we? Let's have a look at what we can do here. So we can use our left mouse as we would normally use it. We can use our right mouse as we would normally use it in R. And we can sit here and we can fiddle and we can play. Oh no, we found a mine. That's really annoying, right? But you can customize Minesweep R a little bit as well within the package. So the default is, if we go back to this window here, the default with Minesweeper is that you've got a width of 10, you've got a height of 10, and you've got 20 mines. But you can change it. You can make Minesweeper what you want it to be in R. Unfortunately, you can't see all the ridiculous comments that I put on the right-hand side here. I want to make it a bit harder. I'm going to go 20 by 20. Let's make a big grid. Let's have 50 mines, and let's see if we can actually engage with that game in any way. So we can engage with it in the normal way. You don't have to sit here and watch me play Minesweeper all night, but it's quite cool. You can engage with it as if you're engaging with Minesweeper on the machine when you were, well, for me, let's not talk about how old I was actually, but hopefully rolling back the years for a few people here. Now, most people, particularly my 7-year-old, what he thinks when he starts a game is, how can I cheat? Now you're allowed to cheat. This is great in R. We can change the setting here. So we've got cheat equals false. We can do a cheat. So we can keep this really hard setting of my 20 by 20 mine grid with 50 mines, but we can put a cheat on it. And what's brilliant about that is that it doesn't work when I run the code. That's really annoying. It's still trying to run something. What the cheat should do is, and it's not working right now because I'm doing a live demo. It should tell me where all the mines are in the R code here. Now that's not working. Let's see if we can, let's just rock the whole thing up again and see if we can get this to work. So let's try this again. Let's rock a new window up and let's put a cheat on it. Cheat equals true. There you go. So it's now told me what's in all of the cells here. So you could go back to your R window and you could be a genius at Minesweeper just by cheating and finding out where all the mines are. So we've all learned how to cheat. We've all learned how to play Minesweeper. Great. Now, everybody's been sitting here enjoying wonderful free alcohol. So I think it's really important that we check that our brains are still working after enjoying that. So let's do a little Alzheimer's test, shall we? Why not? Let's rock up another new window. So we've got an Alzheimer's test here. You've probably seen these things before. If I can get this up and running. No, don't want that. A minute. Right. Let's try that one again. See, this is why you never code live. Right. Are we all ready to do an Alzheimer's test? You might have seen this before. Let's say, yes, I'm ready. I want to do the test. So if you can see on the grid here, can anybody see the 6? I know that's going to be really hard at the back. You found the 6, Fiona? Anyone else? Have we got a cell? So find it now. Yes. We want to input the answer. We know where the 6 is. Let's do that. Right. What row number is the 6 in? Somebody shouts out. It's in 6. What column number is it in? 6 and 1. There we go. And we can carry on doing this as well. Now, the default is a 30 by 30 grid, I think. No, it's a 30 by 10 grid. I changed it because I thought we might be here all night if we got 30, right? And someone's got 1, 2, 3. And also, when I ran the first one earlier on to check the code work, it was in like the 26th or something. Whatever it was just really annoying. So I thought, we're not going to be here all night. Does anybody remember these? I'm going to just rock one of these up. No, let's just kill this code. You don't want to sit here watching me play games or checking if my memory works, because it doesn't normally at this time of night. Does anybody remember things like this? Let's have a look at one of these. We can get this up and running. Remember this? You've got to get the numbers in order. So we've got to get your 1 in the top corner here. So we've got to try and get our 1 up there. Again, don't worry, I'm not going to sit here and try and play it, but you can play this in R. I can see that Friday productivity is not going to be great in many offices locally tomorrow, but we can mess around with this as much as we want. I'm not going to sit here and play around with it, but you get the idea that you can do that as well. I'm not going to do this one. I've got a great story about that, though. So when I left, I built a great team of R programmers, and things changed in the company. Lots of people left. Pretty much everybody that could code in R left, and left a load of people that did other things there. When the last person went through the door, I got a message from them on the last day, and they said, I've left a little present in all of the R scripts that they're going to be running on Monday, and they've got no R skills to be able to understand what's going on. And then I go back and see somebody that still worked at the company a week later at London R and said, how are things going? Said, got some bugs in the R scripts and don't know what's going on. That was going on. It's genius. If there's a colleague that you don't like, or if you don't like your boss, go and put that in their R script tomorrow morning. Maybe not your boss, if you value your job or anything like that. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about, has anyone used the cataplots library before? It's exactly what you think it is, by the way. Yeah, it's scatter plots with cats. Yes, we're going to do some scatter plots. So let's make up some random data. Why not? We always make up some random data. Obviously, all these plots will be in Data Cove Blue because I had to pick a color. Let's just do. Oh, we need the plot window a little bit bigger, don't we now? So let's do this. When I thought about fun in R, I was going to sit here and show you the Cricket R package, which is my favorite package. Links to the Cricinfo API. I thought everybody would be quite bored, maybe apart from Lincoln. Produces beautiful graphs of cricket data. But anyway, so let's just do a basic cataplot. When this code decides to work, this is why we don't do live coding. Let's just escape that. Right. So we just do a basic cataplot. It's not found the X. Wonderful. Let's just go back and set these variables up. So as you can see, if it works, no, it doesn't want to work. Brilliant. Why does it not want to work? Who knows? Come on, it's because I've got this window. There we go, because it's working in here. So you can use cats as your icons on the plot. It's brilliant, isn't it? You can color your cats in Data Code Blue. You can color them in whatever color you want, but you can change the cats. It's brilliant. You can change it. So you could go with cat number 1, please. Look at this. Look at that. You can have cat number 1, and you could have cat number 2. Let's have a look at what cat number 2 looks like. In fact, there's 10 different types of cat. Do you know what? There's 10 different types. Let's plot all of them randomly on a chart. And look at this. You just got all sorts of different cats. You got this one that's looking down with his tail up. You got this one that's looking, maybe even a little bit like a dog. You got that one that's sitting up. You've got that one that's begging. You've got all of the 10 different types of cat. But it gets better. The guy or the person, I don't know who it was, they invented this package. I'm going to invent cat number 11. Now, what does cat number 11 look like? Let's have a look at cat number 11. Does that ring any bells to anybody? Does anyone know what that is? Anyone seen that before? Would this help, maybe, if we just put a few more colors on it? Would that help at all? Anyone seen that before? If you don't know what that is, YouTube this evening, Nyan Cat, and for the rest of your family, I'm very sorry. That's it. That is the fun side of R. So R can be used for data analysis, but it can also be used to put cats in your plots. So put them in your next presentation, see if your clients love it. And that is the end of the fun, I'm afraid. So I'm very sorry. So anti-climax to all of that, I am going to make some announcements, and maybe some of them are quite serious as well, or less serious. But we run a lot of these R user groups all over the country. We are in the process of working on some hexes for some groups that don't have them. So that's going to have a beautiful hex soon. If you fancy coming over to Portsmouth and joining us in June, we have the relaunch of Portsmouth R, which is going to be awesome. We've got Manchester coming up at the end of June as well. And then we've got London early on in July, and then Bristol, we're in another city. We are not back at Brighton R until November, so we're having a bit of a hiatus. We've got Earl to prepare for in September, so that's kind of our installment in September. Once again, if anybody does want to come and buy an Earl ticket, I'm here. I accept cards, I promise you. I'm here all night, and I accept all sorts of payment methods. I may even accept bribes, but let's not talk too much about that either. This isn't even in presentation mode, is it? Too much cat, so. There we go. We also run R and Python training courses. You can come buy one of those from me tonight as well. It's literally £79 for 2 hours on various subjects in R or Py. Very happy to talk to you about that tonight. Come chat to myself or Sophie. We've tried to go a little bit less QR heavy on our slides now. We realized we used to put up loads of slides. Click this, scan this QR code, and it was getting a bit confusing. So thanks to the wonderful Sophie, all of the links from tonight's presentation, all of our meetup groups, our training courses, Earl, all of our socials can be found on our link tree. You can follow us with this link here. I'm off to the Joker. If anybody wants to join me, if you mention Data Cove at the bar, you get 10% off your drinks. And they might even put a cat on the chart for you as well. I'm going to say thank you very much for joining us. We hope to see you all very soon at one of our events. And we hope that you have some fun with cats and with Minesweeper in R. Thank you very much.